Ahora sí, tell me un poquito más.
Hola, I'm Kim.
And I'm Cindy Gaxiola.
And this is our podcast, Tell Me Un Poquito Más.
Season 4.
Season 4, baby.
And in today's episode, we have a very special guest, someone who we have the honor of calling our friend. But he's also one of the most talented songwriters, producers, entrepreneurs. Blessed our lives with some of our favorite music.
I mean, who hasn't heard? I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it.
Yes, Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, The Weeknd. I mean, we could
You name it, he's done it.
Yes, so we have the facilitator of the function,
Mr. Tommy Brown.
What's up? How are y'all?
Known as TV Hits.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. No, we're excited. Like, honestly, I kind of can't believe this moment. Like, you guys, for real, like, we'll have conversations. Like, we'll just be talking about life, about dating situations, and we'll be like, yo, this is a podcast episode. This is a podcast episode. Let's do a podcast. So the fact that we're doing it right now excites me.
It happened.
It's been a long time coming.
We made it happen. And today's topic, we're going to start off on the route of, do people change?
Can they change?
Can they change? And I think, I know can people change is very broad. And I think in one area where we could maybe, we could unintentionally try to change someone.
Or intentionally.
Unintentionally or intentionally try to change someone is in the dating world.
Awkward silence.
I don't know, guys. Well, let's start off with Mr. Tommy, since he's our guest. Have you ever tried to change someone in a dating situation?
I think sometimes we always unintentionally try to change someone. I don't think it's always intentional, but I think everybody likes what they like and they try to mold their other half into the perfect person. But sometimes the thing you like about them is that they're not that.
And you try to change them according to what you like or what someone may like?
Yeah, I think so. Don't wear that word is. Or it's not controlling, but sometimes we do try to change people.
Why do you think we try to change people?
I think we try to change people because we kind of want what we want. And then sometimes we spend so much time with people, we always want the best for people or the people that we're with. And we want them to be better and do better. And sometimes they're just perfect the way they are.
So what defines better? Better off of whose definition of better?
I mean, have y'all ever tried to change somebody?
I think I'm always trying to change myself. Like, I think
That's an easy cop out for the question. You need to answer the question.
People can change, but you can't change people.
people.
People have to be willing to change. I think that's the most important thing. You can't make somebody into who you want them to be. You gotta have to love them for who they are and let them change when they're ready to change. You can't force somebody to change. You'll forever be unhappy.
I feel like you can make an impact in their life. You can make a difference. You can make a suggestion.
I agree. You can influence them. Somebody can wear a T-shirt and influence me to buy it, but I have to go to the store to purchase it. They can't make me buy it. So yeah, you can influence people, but you can't make them change.
What do you think it takes for you to want to change? No, not for you to want to change, to actually change.
I think
To make these changes.
I think you have to really want to change, and you also have to be able to look at yourself from a different view to really see and answer like the why do you want to change? Who do you want to change? What do you want to change? Where do you want to change? Like, you have to ask those questions to kind of know what you want to change about yourself. Not like, I'm going to wake up and tomorrow I'm going to go force myself to be a bodybuilder. It's changes in like the 1% every day. You can't go and change 50% every day. You're going to fail.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, 1%. Okay, well, I asked y'all a question earlier. But Cindy didn't answer. Was everybody that you dated perfect?
Yeah, Cindy. Were they perfect?
No.
Did you try to change them?
I earlier in my dating life, that's something that I very much did. Because I would get frustrated when someone wasn't the way that I wanted them to be, because that's what I wanted. I think in this point of my life, I'm more accepting and empathetic, or at least I make an effort to be.
I mean, aren't we always like kind of sort of trying to make someone change? Sort of, in a way.
Is it because we're looking for perfection?
I don't think it's because we're looking for perfection. We're looking for our own well, I guess it is perfection.
No, it's not perfection. We're not looking for perfection. I think we're looking for what
we want.
But it's not necessarily perfection.
Or is it something that somebody else has
that you don't like?
No, that you're seeing, because we have so much social media where we get the highlight reel of somebody's life, and we feel like that's the perfection that we need.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, well, she got to propose to this way. You should have this too.
I want to be proposed in Disneyland in front of the castle. Why didn't you propose to me like I mean, I think social media is a huge one. I do think social media is a huge one. I feel like we have these expectations. I mean, not just social media, like also TV too, movies. They're all romanticizing, like it's all butterflies and clouds. Ain't like that. I mean, I don't think it's really like that.
I mean, it can be, but I think it's rare. And I don't think that we should sacrifice what we want, but I think we also have to understand the reality of life. Like, nothing in life is perfect. And sometimes the best moments are the imperfections.
So, within people changing, because relationships require compromise, right?
I agree.
So, shouldn't we have some expectation of people changing? Of some change? Like, if there's compromise, does that not require change?
I think expectation isn't the word. Because I think when you have
I don't like that word either.
Yeah, if you have expectations, I feel like
you're always gonna be
let down.
Yeah.
Like, I think being with somebody and truly
Should we want
basking. Yeah, I mean, maybe you want them to change, but I think basking in who they really are and the reason that you were attracted to them in the first place. And I think the change is a plus. If they get better, I mean, over time, I think that's the plus. That's the icing.
Do you think people make the mistake of focusing on the wrong things that they want people to change? Because it's true. Like, I have heard people be like, well, he is always late.
Takes
and or I don't know, like,
he takes 4 hours to reply.
But he's an amazing man that's hardworking, and his job requires him to not be on his phone. I don't know. So do you think we sometimes could make the mistake of wanting, it's not even the wrong changes, but we focus on changes that
they're
maybe
focused
aren't
on the
as
things
important.
that they're not making the change.
And sometimes that you can change. Like, I had somebody to me like, aren't you just ever going to get taller? And I'm like, that's like, I'm like, yo, that's not cool.
I mean, that's true. Like, what do you guys feel is one of the things that we could, like, in the dating, is one of the things that we could try to change from others?
I think the thing is not focusing on the change in the others. I think the important thing is focusing on the change of ourselves, you know, and having the accountability to kind of see the flaws that we have to grow from what those are. And like I said, the who, what, when, where, and why of the change, like, based on us, because that's where the real growth happens. Anybody that I'm with or attracted to, I like them because I like them. Like, they don't have to be Fortune 500. They don't have to be that. And I think people get lost in comparison to others, and comparison's like the thief of joy. So I feel like when they go and get lost in trying to be with somebody else, oh, this girl, she has this, and I need to be like her because this is what guys want. I don't think all guys want things like that. Sometimes they just want you to be yourself.
Do you think we've lost the ability to be ourselves?
I think not everybody has lost the ability to be themselves. I think, but social media makes it hard because for me, social media is like a place to go and just do whatever I want and be free and have fun. But people take that as reality. Like, you may tweet something and people are like, oh my God, that's how they feel. This is who they truly are. And I'd be like, oh, it was a joke, but sorry you took it the wrong way.
Or like, oh, they're talking about me.
Yeah.
Oh, that was towards me.
If the shoe fits, put it on. Like,
not the sub post with a
take it.
attack.
Close friends. Send it to that person. Directly to that person. Dang, that's
do you guys
fast.
think people do that? Like,
Close friends and just to you?
just yeah, because how would you?
yo, that's so crazy. I feel like people did that to me. I'm like,
You were a
I
close
have
friend?
to be the only close friend on here. I'm like, there's no way it's a group of people that got this message. Like, I feel like that's a direct, indirect way to let somebody know how you feel.
Did you bring it up?
No, I will never give them the satisfaction. I can't. It's like, even in music, like, somebody will call, I'm like, send me the beat. Oh, no, I got to play it for you in person. I'm already like, I'll never give you the response you want. It doesn't matter if it's the greatest beat I've ever heard. I'm going to be like, it was cool. Just because, like, I can't do it. Like, I seen that post. Are you going through something? Not doing it.
Why not?
I'm just not. I just can't. I'm just like myself. Maybe it's my struggle with my ego or whatever it is. I just can't, like, when it's an expected reaction, I can't do it.
What if that person, I mean, I guess it depends on the level of care you have for that person, but if that person, instead of close friending you and trying to send the message directly, was like, yo, I want to talk to you, like, would you have more respect for that?
Super.
Okay.
Let's chat about it. Don't, like, manipulate me into loving you. I tweeted that the other day, like, don't manipulate me into loving you. Like,
how many
I love
women
you for
felt
who you are.
attacked?
I don't know. Everybody feels attacked about everything. Like, my mom's like, yo, I do not manipulate. I'm like, Mom, well, I'm not talking about you.
Manipulation and change. People try to manipulate people into change.
I completely agree. And I feel like, I won't say it never wins, but it's not something that is going to win against me.
Manipulation?
I'm just talking about manipulation into making somebody feel something for you. I think it's so natural, and over time and different things, like, believe it or not, any relationship when I was ever in, I've never asked to be boyfriend and girlfriend. I was in long-term relationships, and it just was like, yo, I'm feeling you, you're feeling me, we're on this journey together and we're going to the moon. It was never like, yo, so are you not sleeping with somebody else? Are you not being, because I feel like if you truly are in love with somebody, it'll happen naturally. Like, if I really like, oh my God, this is it. Like, I wouldn't want to be with somebody else. I want to spend all my time here.
But at some point you have to communicate, don't you?
I think, yeah, you do. But I think my communication is more action-based than words.
But you, like, the other person, they didn't tell you, like, hey, yo, are we anything?
No,
exclusive?
I think we jailed so much. We just got it. Like, we just got it. Like, next thing you know, we're living together and everything. And I'm like, this is crazy, because you want to spend so much time together, and it just is what it is.
So then you don't ask the question, like, you want to be my girlfriend or whatnot. But if somebody were to ask you, like, are you in a relationship, you would say yes.
100%.
But you just don't ask the girl.
I just don't think
you don't feel the need.
Yeah, I don't. And then a lot of times when you're in a relationship, like, I wouldn't even just have that conversation with just anybody, because that makes, to me, if somebody's asking you that question, you're letting them get a little too close.
If they ask you the question, are we exclusive?
No, like,
What's wrong with getting
I'm
close?
talking about a person on the outside asking you that, because I rather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd rather keep my business. Was Michael Jackson in a relationship? Nobody knows, but I mean, he probably kept his business private.
No, but like a normal conversation, like, I don't know, you're out just like, hey, so I don't know, how's life? Are you in a relationship?
Oh yeah, I'm in love.
Is that really what you would answer?
It all depends on who it is. I don't think everybody gets to experience all of the joys that I get to experience, because sometimes it's not any of their business. For me personally, I live a very public lifestyle, and sometimes I'm like, I want something for myself.
Wow. So is that something that you feel you wouldn't be willing to change? Speaking of change, if that's something and that's where we talk about compromise, right? What if that is something that's important for the other person?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm down. I have done it before, and I have had public relationships before. It's not something I would choose to do, but if it was like a deal breaker for somebody I truly cared about, it would just have to be what it was, because that's not going to necessarily change my day.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever changed? Do you feel like you've changed for someone you've dated?
I think I changed for somebody I dated, right? But in that change, I really found out I was changing for myself. You know, because somebody you need to change this and you need to change that, right? And then some weird way you end up going through these changes and you grow, and then you go back and you're talking, and maybe it's just a conversation with this person way later down the line. It could be years later, and you're like, oh, you're still the same person you were. So it just wasn't me who needed change. It was also you who needed change, but you haven't gone on your journey yet. Because it takes time to go through the change and really be who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Do you think we make that mistake of wanting to change others before we change ourselves?
I do think we want to change others before it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to say
this
you're
is
wrong.
with you, this is wrong with you, and this is wrong with
I'm
you.
perfect. There's nothing wrong with it.
So you go fix that.
You figure it out. I shouldn't have to cook or clean. Okay. But you know, it's so crazy. A lot of people fall for somebody for certain things and then want to change that about them. How do y'all feel about that? Like an example, like you meet this guy, he's business, you love it. You get to go on all the trips you want. You get to go to all the stores you want to go to. But then somewhere down the line, you don't feel the satisfaction of his time.
He's always busy.
He's always busy. So then you try to change what that is. Who's wrong in that situation? Because is he supposed to compromise and change who he was the entire time?
Right.
Or do you have to deal with?
Oh,
I think, okay, I don't know that's the reason why you love someone. Like, I think you could love someone based off of their values, their beliefs, the way they treat you. And those are things that come with who.
That's like the cherry on top.
That's like the cherry on top.
I think that, but I think there's also the other side. I think sometimes we can look at it from our own perspective, but I always break it down into like a lot of time. Like, of course, there's subcategories, but like if a woman wants a guy, it's either for their time or the money, the financial side. And I think time, like subcategories, can be like growing. We're going to the park and love and things like that, but also the financial place of I want to live this kind of lifestyle. He's able to provide it. I still love him. Like, we connect, and it's not just about the money, but I feel like it's finding that balance.
Or I mean, I think you could start off because of the money, and then you end up actually wanting to spend more time with them. What?
Keep going.
What? Actually, I have a friend like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's reality. Like, obviously the money was a huge factor, but then after, he was not giving her as much time, and that would affect her. So in the beginning, she was just like, oh, for the money. But then after, I guess, spending the little amount of times that they would spend together, she wanted more of that.
So let me ask you this.
I have a lot to say about that.
Do you give a guy that's a multimillionaire more chances than you give the beggar at the grocery store? Same offense, same argument. Who is it easier to walk away from?
I mean, I think it does depend on who the person is. I think it does depend on their values. I think it does depend where we're at together. I mean, if
For you.
For me.
For you.
For me.
Who's
yes.
easier to walk away from? The multimillionaire you have the same argument with, or the bagger at the grocery store?
I think I'm telling you, it depends on the person. They have the same qualities?
Same exact person.
Oh, same exact person.
Same exact person. Same
well,
qualities.
That's different. If they're the same exact person, same qualities, same values, he respects like all of that, the same.
Same.
Go.
But no, you know, it's so crazy because that makes the point, because people don't ever want to really say what they truly want, right? Because we all wear a certain kind of mask. So people would feel bad to say, okay, no, I'm going to stay with the millionaire because it's a better situation there. But people don't want to say that. They want to make it like it's an even playing field, and it's not.
Wait, it's not.
It's not an even playing field. There's no way
that a girl would choose the
bagger at the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
No way. Impossible. Maybe the 1%.
I know baggers at the grocery store with women in there.
Have they ever had you?
Hey, listen, if they're a bagger in the grocery store and they have a vision, they're going to school, they have a plan, I don't think that's a reason to eliminate them.
But you see all the things that they need to be qualified.
I mean, he's working on whoever he wants to become.
Because
why do you think the way he wants to become is tied to something financial?
No. That's what I'm telling him. Like, I feel like if he's a bagger at the grocery store, he has a vision, he's going to school, he has a plan, then I don't think that's a reason to.
But what if he doesn't? What if he's okay being at the grocery store and providing? I only say that because I was the bagger at the grocery store and now I'm on the other side. So I understand the differences from seeing both perspectives.
What grocery store?
Pittsburgh. It was a place called Giant Eagle. It's like the neighborhood grocery store. That's where I worked at and saved like 3 or 4 paychecks to buy my first beat machine.
What? That's determination. You see? You see what I mean?
But I was never, but what I'm saying is I
bagger?
see the difference though. Because when I was there was always the guys with the cars. There was the guys with this and that who got all the love. But then you fast forward, Tom.
I just think
that's what
we're
I'm saying.
focused.
Like,
okay. I think going back, there was an original question before all of this.
Okay.
That there was a point that you touched on time and money.
Okay.
I think those are two things that could be important to people, and I don't want to disregard it. I think as a female, a provider is something that I'll speak for myself. As a female, a provider, someone who provides, right? Someone who brings safety in terms of financial, maybe physical. If I'm with my man, I want to feel safe, right? Mm-hmm. I just don't think that financial is the only thing. Like I feel like we can look at a person based off of the qualities of who they are as a person, their values, their morals, their integrity. And I do think, I'm not saying financial or money is not something that we don't look at. It is, but it's not something we base our decision to love someone on.
Okay, if you had to pick a side, somebody that had all the time in the world or somebody that had all the money in the world.
But you're breaking it down. Okay, someone who had all the time in the world or all of the money.
All the money, yeah. So all the time in the world, no money, and all the money in the world, but no time?
Like zero money? Where are we living? Because that is something that, because it is something like.
You paying the bills.
It is something that is important. Like I am saying, that is something that I want in someone. So I think it's too extreme to pick. Why can't I have? Okay, but why can't I have both? Why can't I have someone who is financially can help provide for our family, can give time?
Because everybody wants it all. Everybody wants it all.
Not all. There's certain things that will be important to us. It's not all. Like I can't say I want him to be 6'5" and a specific hair color, eye color, but not all. I think there's certain things that should be important for us to want and look for in someone, and other things are pluses. And if they're not there, then it's up to us to decide. But I don't think that means we want it all.
I think on the girl side, it's like from a guy side, I think like a lot of times it's not necessarily a lot of women that I meet are very goal oriented and very financial based. And sometimes when I have honest conversations with them, they feel like that's what's going to attract the man. And I don't necessarily think that's what attracts the man. I think the ability to get along is a good basis of it, because like I feel like for men that's like the first thing. I mean, first thing they do is see you. So it's a lot to do with looks, even though people try to go and disregard that. I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah, it
but
is.
then the ability to get along and be able to do things together without, like, if I work and I work a lot of hours, like I don't want to have to come home and argue about the small things. Is picking the battles to win the war.
So
Don't forget your question.
I think I already forgot. You just gotta let me talk.
Okay, go.
I really think I forgot. Oh, so you think that whenever we enter certain stages or phases of our life, things shouldn't change? They don't change? Like, for instance, if you go into the stage of building a family, you get married. I guess it's based off of a personal perspective, right? I look at marriage as like a personal covenant. I think the way that you move before you were married should be different than when you are married.
In what ways?
I think in terms of the commitment that you have to your partner and your family. When a child comes into play, like, should a father not be expected to be in the picture? Like, should that not be something that changes in you?
I mean, I think the father's in the picture. I don't think the father's like.
Do you think he moves the same as before he had a child?
I mean, it's tough if he's a CEO of a corporation. I mean, not much changes. But I think you have to be okay with the person if it doesn't change. Because you got to look at this guy. You're with this guy. He's a CEO of a business. Great man, doesn't cheat, treat you right, but has very little time. And if you have a child, the time doesn't necessarily free up. So you can't be like angry about it. But
do you think these are important conversations to have?
I do. I think a lot of the times when people meet, they don't say what they want. They go and just be there and just, maybe he's like this, maybe he's like this. I would prefer somebody to come to me if I dated them and be like, yo, I want this. This is what works for me. This is what doesn't. Like, I want to be financially stable. I want to be able to go on these trips and do these things. And I don't care if you have another girl on the side, or that's an absolute no. I think those are the conversations that people don't have, because sometimes if you're truthful with a person and really say what you want, sometimes it may just be okay. But everybody's afraid of it not being okay.
You just assume.
You just assume. And what's the first three letters of assume?
Oh. But how deep within is there like a time frame where you actually have that conversation? Like, yo, like, this is what I'm looking for. This is where I'm at. Da-da-da.
I don't think it's year 2. I think it's where that conversation usually comes up later in a relationship. And it's like, I want this, 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 and this. I'm like, whoa, who are you?
Yeah.
I think it's at the beginning. If you're engaging with somebody and you're spending a lot of time, or y'all be like, yo, we're going to have a relationship. It's like, yo, this is my expectations. Are they off? Are they not? This is what I want. What do you want?
Are expectations different than desires?
I think so. I think expectations is something like, I really expect this to happen. I expect you to be here by 3:00. I don't desire you to be here at 3:00. I desire you to show up with roses, but I expect you to be here at 3.
Is it healthier to voice our expectations or our desires?
I think
Is it better?
all of that, if you're saying, yo, we're going to go do this long term, even if it's when you're dating or when you're engaging in marriage, like to have those tough conversations, because after the tough conversations, it's, you know which way you're going. Because you may be with a guy and like, man, I really fell in love with this guy, but this is what I'm really looking forward to. And it may be a completely different outlook from them, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I've seen guys fall in love and propose and then get a no and then be like mind blown, because I can never go back. If I went with a girl and proposed to her and she told me no, I can never look back that way.
People should communicate what they want, right? But you just said you don't. And so it's like, who should at what point? Why don't you?
I mean, I think you should definitely communicate what you want, but I'm also not saying I'm perfect. I'm also in a place of still learning. Every day is a learning experience. I deal with, like, even in the business side of it, like, it's tough because you go from being a regular person and still doing what you do, and I'm still a person who sits in the house. I'm not in a club. I'm not out. I don't do any of that. And then you grow to a place where people look at you different, so people's conversation change. When you're at a family event now, you're never wrong. You could have been wrong before, so it's just adjusting to what that part of life is, because if you have a conversation and say something, somebody may be willing to accept that but not truly feel that way. So I think only time tells, especially in the position I'm in. It's a little weird and I'm still learning. I think every day it's important to learn.
How, as you're growing into these areas of your life, right? Like, you're experiencing success, you're experiencing your business growing, all of this. How do you feel you've changed?
I think I've changed a lot. I think I went through a lot of traumatic experiences when I was young, and like 15, I see my dad pass away, and growing up to having to be the man of the family and my competitiveness. I had a cousin that was 1 year older than me, so he was always faster, always stronger. So I had to learn how to compete in different ways outside of physical ways, and it's just so many things. And then you take a look back to see what really makes you who you are. So you really can't change who that is, but you could just make it better. So for me, like, I stopped drinking probably 2.5 years ago. I just stopped doing a lot of things I was doing, because sometimes you can move and hurt people and do different things, and I'm not really into that. I don't want to do stuff like that. It's because a lot of times it's unintentional, because you're just living a life and living a lifestyle, and it's tough. So I think I changed in a lot of those kind of places, but it's every day's learning, because you could always think you're doing it right, and then you take a deep dive, look at yourself and say, okay, now we're going to fix up this part. Like, it's like cleaning a house. Like, you don't clean the house all at the same time. You're like, okay, let me get the living room
first.
Let me get the kitchen. Let me do this. And I think that's important to understand when changing. And all of this waiting on a glue on a broken heart to dry.
Ooh, wait, say that again?
No, I said you go through all this and then you're still waiting on, like, the glue on, like, a broken heart to dry. Like, you're still, because I feel like we all been heartbroken, and I feel like a lot of times we all don't deal with it. But you got to understand it takes time to deal with those things and become better, because you don't want to punish somebody for past traumas that you dealt with and sometimes may have caused yourself.
You feel like you've taken the time to heal from that?
I think I'm still healing through a lot of different things, but I actively go to therapy, do for years. I mean, but I don't think therapy should just be a crutch. I think you grow past that. But I think you have to do the work. People don't want to do the work, and I think I continuously try to wake up and do the work every day.
Right. Do men heal after a breakup?
Yeah, I think everybody heals, but I just think everybody heals a little bit differently.
Okay.
Like, if you break a leg and I break a leg, it may heal differently. We could break it the exact same way. It's just our DNA is different. Because we got to understand that a lot of the issues come from childhood, comes from the way we were raised. Maybe if a parent was working hard and loved you and you grew up in a family, like, but your parents were working hard and it left you alone a lot, maybe you're growing into a person who feel like you have to depend on yourself.
Right.
So it all comes from when we're younger.
Do you feel like do you heal after a breakup?
I think I do, but it's like picking a petal off of a rose, right? Every time you love, you picking a flower, you picking a petal off. It's never going to be the rose it was, but hopefully find somebody that knows how to water it.
That's deep.
I think my only thing to add, going back to the broken leg,
Okay.
is some people choose to go to the doctor and put a cast on, and some people choose to say, yeah, it's nothing, like, I got this, and they walk around with a broken leg.
Yeah. And it may never heal properly. I think in our communities, and we have different communities, I think therapy is something that's looked down upon. But I think people should seek professional help. I think people should ask. I think people should go to the doctor. People should get checked. I think to kind of understand how it all works, because we can't just assume. You can't just assume, and then, like, I had somebody that worked for me and I didn't like how they worked for me. Now, for me, it's irrational to blame them, because I can't blame them, because I hired somebody who couldn't do a job and I should have been better at hiring. So it's not their fault, but in 10 years, if I don't achieve what I want, I can't blame them. So I'd rather be a rational person and deal with it now and understand that. But that's only through educating myself and being able to talk to people and understand.
But do you communicate that? Like, what areas you don't like how they work?
Yeah, but I think at some point you realize agendas. Like, okay, you may not be good at doing this or doing that, but if our agendas are different, it's the same as dating. Like, if y'all have different agendas, like if I want to be with a girl that's going to be a good mother and I want her to spend majority of the time with the children, and that's something that I seek, and I date a girl who's very business oriented, wanted to do this, wants to do that, it may be tough because our agendas may be off. Versus being like, okay, maybe this girl really just has a job and doesn't really care about being a queen pin. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's something that works better.
So the bottom line is people can change, but they have to be willing,
Willing
to
to
change. And we shouldn't want to change people ourselves. Do we all agree on this?
We should.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think some people, the only way they change is when they're putting on a different outfit. And some people change internally.
I feel like you could maybe talk about it. Maybe you could, but I don't think you should try yourself to change them. I think if you talk about it, you could plant a seed, and then maybe when they're ready, they'll make the decision to change.
And be okay with the base of that person. Know that you're getting flour and water no matter what. No
And
matter
if you
what
want
kind of
gluten-free flour, go get you.
go get you some gluten-free.
But that person's not the gluten-free.
Yeah, exactly. So you know you're getting a cake regardless. It's just a different kind.
I like cake.
Dang, man. So that's the moral of the story. So then I think now we can go to our spicy round of tell me un poquito más questions.
Oh no. I thought that was it.
You ain't escaping the spicy round.
The first one, we gonna keep it light. It's not spicy. I think it's something that you're someone who we admire very much. We know you're very knowledgeable, very wise, and you're in a position where we're curious to know what advice you'd give to someone that is in a position of leadership as a leader, and what advice would you give to someone that's in a position of being led?
I think to somebody who's a leader, a lot of people think leaders or you can open a book and become a leader. I think leaders get in position of leading because they lead. Like when I turn around and I see my team looking to me, I never was like, I'm a leader. I want to wake up and be a leader. But it was just through my actions, and my advice to somebody being a leader is understand how to lead. Like you don't dictate the work, pick up the shovel and dig. You know what I mean? To become the person you are, because a lot of people mislead people. And I think that's something that I'm not a fan of personally, because you wrap this agenda around your own narcissism. You know what I mean? And I feel everybody's slightly a narcissist because everybody cares about their self first. So it's okay. It just depends on where you are on the spectrum. But I think these people go and envelope a purpose or envelope something around their narcissism. And those are things I don't like. So just be mindful of who's leading you. And if the things that they do you don't agree with, maybe find somebody else to lead. And touching more on the people that's being led, like be coachable. Don't go and join up with, like I tell people all the time that join with my label or I'm dealing with an artist and they come and we build, and then they have this grandiose idea or what they're going to do, and this is how we're doing it. This is the way or no way. And I'm like, you joined us for a reason. Don't join to only have what you do, because obviously it only got you here. So let us go wrap around what we know and grow together. You got to be coachable.
Okay. Now the tell me un poquito más question. The spicy tell me un poquito más question. Now this one's more on we go back to dating. We always go back to dating. We always end up going back to dating.
Popular topic.
Do you think that you can be friends with an ex?
Depends on if you're both over and in what capacity. I think you also, if you're friends with an ex, like, because I have to be friends with an ex that I had who I had to do business with. But I think also I respect her space and her relationship. I'm not calling her at 10 o'clock. I'm not saying let's go to dinner. I think it all depends on how you respect it. Like I wouldn't be friends with an ex 3 months after you broke up.
Right.
And hang out. That's
drink coffee once a week.
That's not conducive to change. If I have an ex, I don't want to go hang out because you're backtracking. Like there was only one person who successfully moved backwards in life. That was Michael Jackson when he did the moonwalk.
And that's it. We leave it to Michael Jackson. All of us, we got one way to go.
One way to go then, I guess. Well, I think we could all agree that was a good conversation. Very good conversation. Again, Tommy, thank you so much for your time, for all these, what do you call it, analogies? I'm like,
Tommyisms.
Tommyisms, yes.
No, for real, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being on the hot seat. Tell me un poquito más.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. And again, guys, we invite you guys to share this podcast. It's available on all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and don't forget to like the video. Thank you, guys. Until next time.